I know some of you are like, oh, Schleg, you're falling right back off the wagon. I apologize. I apologize. I got to get a little bit better, frankly, about managing my time and getting these videos done in a more timely manner so that way you guys can watch them. This is the Impact review for the May 9th episode. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to spend a shit ton of time talking about it. I'm not going to go in incredible depth and detail about every single thing. I'm just going to briefly touch on some of the things that stood out to me in this show, period. Now, if I'm going to sit there and shit on WWE for giving us the same match or the same feud over and over and over again, then I'd be remiss if I didn't do the exact same thing for TNA. Am I the only one that kind of went, oh, Christ almighty, with the opening segment of the May 9th Impact, when it's all about Angle and Sting and who's going to partner with them against the Aces and Eights later on in the show, and trying to get AJ Styles to join with them. Are you with us or against us? Who cares? I don't mean that as a disrespect to AJ Styles, but I say who cares because it's obvious they're going with Kurt Angle and AJ Styles at this point in time. It's Slammiversary, excuse me, Stingiversary. We've got to get that right, people. I've seen them feud how many times? I've seen Angle and Styles wrestle how many times? I don't care what damn excuse you're going to give me about, oh, they have great matches and da-da-da. No! At some point in time, I'm begging, I'm pleading, I'm dying for a wrestling company to give me something different. And sitting there giving me another feud, another storyline, another series of matches between AJ Styles and Kurt Angle is far from filling the bill, excuse me, in my humble opinion. Pass on this. Yeah, every week over the past year and a half, when you've watched TNA, you've watched the Knockouts division, you've seen a deterioration, you've seen a decline. And we had this Knockouts tag match, and it's just, oh, it was brutal. I don't even think it was brutal from the standpoint of that it was a bad match to watch. I just think it was, again, one of those instances of, I'm tired of seeing these same freaking people in the same spots going against the same people. You got Mickie James. Velvet's your champ, isn't she? Could we possibly, maybe, I don't know, get something different? Mickie James turning heel would be something different. Because God knows they're not going to bring in a bunch of knockouts and try and spice up this division that used to be one of the real flagship things that TNA did well, especially compared to the Great White Organization up north, brother. And another thing I took a pass on this Impact. Freaking club business. Ooh, we've got club business to attend to. Oh, shut the fuck up. You got Bully Ray, a guy in his 40s. Having an issue with another guy in D'Lo Brown, who's in his 40s, whose best days, if he ever had any, were 13 years ago. And he's mad because, in part, D'Lo Brown didn't get the job done the week before against another guy in his 40s and Kurt Angle. Oh, my Christ almighty. And, you know, it's just typical TNA faction, putting together dumb dick factions like this that don't get anybody over, that just spotlight old talents, and, you know, end up hurting the product for a period of time, both while the faction and storyline is going on and especially afterwards. Like even the match with Magnus and Doc. You know, I'm sitting there and I want to get behind Magnus. He's somebody that I like, that I want TNA to give me a reason to give a fuck about. Somebody that I want TNA to push big. Don't sit there and have him wrestle Doc, and the only reason he could beat Doc is because of screw-up interference by D'Lo Brown. Therefore, again, putting the spotlight on the guy in his 40s. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. Now, you'll have to pardon me. As of this recording, I have not watched the May 16th edition of Impact. Okay? But I'm confused as shit here. Now, one of the things I was looking forward to on the May 9th episode, one of the things I was looking forward to the most was seeing this number one contenders tag match, even though, to me, TNA's tag team division is very dull right now because they basically only have 3 teams. But I will say, you know, I was looking forward to Bad Influence versus the Great Factor. And for some reason, James Storm is the special referee. And, you know, I was expecting this match to be something great, be a highlight of the show. And to me, it was okay, but it was just kind of there and left me more confused than anything else why James Storm was acting the way that he did. And he had a very flat feeling to this because there really wasn't a finish to the fucking match. One thing I will give TNA credit for is they are trying to take the X Division more seriously, and I applaud them for that. Very good. From the use of that beret camera angle, whatever the hell you want to call that, to bringing back Petey Williams, and now having Chris Sabin return, and having Kenny King as the champion, and actually having a promo segment for the X Division, hyping up the match on the May 16th show for the title, the Triple Threat. You've got Kenny King, you've got Chris Sabin. I thought Sabin was effective in what he needed to do to help promote that match. I think Kenny King was really good in what he needed to do to help promote that match. I thought the interaction of the two together was very good. In general, it was just a very good segment. There were two good things on this show in theory, and to me, this was by far the best thing on this show, and I was very happy to see that TNA actually devoted a full-length promo segment to hype up an X Division title match for the following week's show. Good job, TNA. Personally, I was kind of hoping that Matt Morgan was going to be the tag team partner for Sting and Angle. Well, they took care of that and got rid of that possibility. So getting into the main event for this May 9th show, I was just going to sit there and go, so I knew it was going to be brutal. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, God bless Sting, and thank him for all that he has contributed to the industry. You may even like Sting, but he is 54 years old. He wears a t-shirt to wrestle. Can't even apply his own Scorpion Deathlock effectively anymore. He is washed up. And the fact that he is going to be wrestling for the title at Stingiversary is ridiculous. Pushing this man in his mid-50s as if he's the top guy, as if he's the number one draw, when it clearly is not positively impacting the ratings, when clearly, it's not increasing overall interest in the product. Why do it? Same old shit. So, I thought, who's the other guy? They're probably going to have AJ Styles. There's going to be some type of curveball way out of left field that I didn't even see coming. And it ended up being. The match itself, until we got to the very, very end, was just kind of brutal for me to watch and sit through. As I was waiting to see who was going to be that third man, so to speak. Who was going to be that third wheel? Who was going to come and rescue Angle and Sting? Abyss's return. Now, to me, this was a good thing. You needed somebody else of a bigger level in terms of the TNA landscape to balance things out against the Aces and Eights and add another face, try and add another dimension to this whole thing. You needed some type of unstoppable type monster on this side when you're going against a group with great numbers. So while I am not a huge fan of Abyss, I understand bringing him back. I understand bringing him back in this spot, in this situation, in this time, in this way. I thought that was very, very well done. The key to this, obviously, over the next few weeks, in my humble opinion, is going to be how they follow up on this. And, since I haven't seen the May 16th episode yet, are they going to have both Abyss and Joseph Park on the show? Are they just going to have the one character now, just Abyss, and not the other? Where are they going to go with this? But at least I could say, if nothing else, even though Abyss is a guy who's been pushed very hard for years by TNA, he's a guy himself, like almost 40 years old, at least I could say he's a little bit better. I would rather have Abyss be getting a big push as opposed to a Sting or even a Kurt Angle at this point, just because of the fact he's been somebody we really haven't seen for the course of over a year now, pretty much. Barely seen him. And that's a good thing. Something fresh. In general, though, the May 9th episode of Impact was not good to me. It wasn't bad enough where I wanted to go and do something else, but it was a hard chore for me to sit through the 2 hours. It really was. I only had two things that I thought were really of any interest or got me intrigued at all. Everything else I thought was just forgettable or middle of the road or just plain bleh.